Welcome to the Rebuilding Futures podcast, where we will explore inspiring stories of people who have overcome adversities to reinvent themselves and create a brighter future. I'm your co-host, Kenneth Young, and I'm joined by three incredible co-hosts who will embark on this journey with me today: Chris Shankle, Elric Truvillion, and Aaron Charles. Each of them bring a distinct viewpoint and experience to the table, and together we will dive into the individual stories who have faced challenges head-on and emerged victoriously. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired by our guests' determination and resilience on the Rebuilding Futures podcast. Aaron, can you share your personal story with our listeners and explain how your experiences with the criminal justice system led you to become an advocate for returning citizens?
Absolutely. So welcome, everybody. My name is Aaron Charles, as explained. So my experiences with the criminal justice system as a returning citizen were a little bit different than some folks. I had what some people viewed as a pretty easy transition coming out because the circumstance looked like it was set up for success, which on a lot of levels it was. I came home to a very dear friend of mine from my childhood whom I'd actually married during my term of incarceration. And so when I came home to a paid off truck, right? It was a very nice situation. I had a house, I had furniture in it that was nice, I had clothes waiting on me. I'm telling you this, man, it was a real special moment. My first day home, mine was blown. So I was showing around the house, walked into one room, this room, that room. When I walked out of one room, man, I didn't know that my family was taking a whole bunch of gifts out of some hiding space closet or whatever. So when I walked back into a room that I had already been in, man, I'm telling you, bro, they had for every single holiday I missed, birthday, Christmas, anniversary, there was a gift wrapped up for every single holiday I missed, spread out on the bed. And I got to open up a gift from every single holiday that I missed. Mind-blowing circumstance, man. You know, I thought that I was going to do some crying maybe, but I was so in shock just from being recently released and, you know, what the love that I was getting that I didn't even know how to respond to it. I was thankful, obviously, but I just didn't even know how to respond, right? Coming from that environment to being in the free world that very same day and seeing all this, it was really overpowering. But that was a short-lived circumstance. Right, because when the veil was pulled back and the gathering of all the family and friends had come and gone, I realized one thing. This woman had been working herself sick, like literally mentally sick while I was gone, because she was trying to keep up with what she had going on the outside and also keep up with me and what I had going on the inside. So when I came home, she told me, hey, man, I hit a brick wall. Okay, so if you pull apart this wall and brick by brick, you begin to take a look at it and see what it is. She's got mental health issues as a foundation, rocking her core. She's got the fact that she is physically exhausted as well on another level of bricks that she has laid there. She has the fact that she's been done wrong in business and made some bad business choices and was positioned, in an ill sexual manner by a male-dominated industry. And there was a lot of stuff that was going on. And she said, I hit a brick wall, and that thing just seemed to fall apart.
Right. Okay, Chris, Elric, how does that experience compare to both of your experiences immediately following reentry?
Well, I'm gonna say I was a little different. I was blessed. I mean, I really can say that I was blessed, man. Listen to these guys' situation. I was married before I went to prison. Me and my wife had been, actually, we had just got married. And I knew I was going to prison. I was on the run. I knew I was going to go to prison. And I had came to the realization that what was going to go on while I was going to be gone with myself. And I was going to accept whatever I came home to and forgive my wife for whatever went on because of the absence of me being the man of the house.
Yeah.
So, and I told my wife, when I went to prison, I said, I don't expect you to, to wait on me. All I ask you to do is, if you're going to be with me when I come home, just don't have any kids on me. You get what I'm saying? And that was an agreement we had, and she stood by that, you know, and I didn't have any other women coming to visit me in prison. I didn't deal with any other women, you know. The thing is that I had to get real with myself and figure out a plan when I come home and what I was going to do and what type of person I was going to be.
Yeah.
And when I came home, me and my wife was in a different place, because you got to realize I was gone 2 years. And gone 2 years and you never touch a woman, it would do something to a man, would do something to a person. And what I had to do was mentally get myself wrapped around it. So when I came home, me and my wife, we was in a different place, and we figured that out. Financially, we wasn't right. Job-wise, we wasn't right. I mean, but I had 2 kids by this woman. And before we got married, my wife was never raised in the house with her dad and mom. I was never raised in the house with my dad and mom. And I had told God, that's what I want. So you have to understand, when you ask for these things, you got to understand what you have to go through to get to these things. People see people that's been married 30, 40 years, 20 years, 10 years, but you never understand the struggle to get there. You have to forgive and forget a lot of things. You have to there's some things as a man, it's some things as a person that you have to swallow to accept that it's better on the other side. And I will say, my wife, she stood by me, she stood down, and she's still down with me to today. And so that's why, once again, I'm gonna say that in that situation, I was truly blessed. So I think I was a little different from Aaron, and I may be a little different from Chris, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Okay, and Chris, what about your hit the ground story?
My hit the ground story is it wasn't really a story. When I came home, I actually came home to, as Aaron would say, a great environment. I mean, I had a father that never gave up on me, a mother that never even realized I was gone, because in her eyes I'm always with her. It's just what it is. When I came home, my father was he owned a construction company, Shankle Sand and Gravel Construction, and he wanted me, prior to being incarcerated, he wanted me to be much better than what I could see I was at the time. So when I came home, the words of my dad was pretty well, okay, you did it your way, and it landed you in prison. Why don't you try it my way? And a lot of people, I have an old saying, and I don't know if people have ever heard this, but my family have used it a million times. A funky pair of lips will say anything. That is, y'all understand what that is. It means that someone can say things to encourage you. Someone can say things to break you down. Someone can say things to mentally harm you. Mm-hmm. But what are your actions? So my father, instead of him saying, I want you to do better, he made sure he built a place for me to do better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what he did, I couldn't drive any of his trucks. I was an inexperienced driver at the time. And he said, okay, well, I tell you what you do. Go find you a truck you can drive and I'll buy it. So that's exactly what I did. I went and found a truck that I could drive and I could shift the gears and this and that and other. And my father said, okay, so he went and bought it. So people will say, oh, well, brother, you came home to a silver spoon in your mouth. And I didn't, because now it's more of, okay, now I've given you everything for you to be successful. Now go do it. And some people don't feel like that is pressure. That's the utmost pressure that anybody could ever have placed upon them, is for your mentor to put you under a test that is either truly going to make you or break you, and he says this to you: I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to give you any instructions. If you've been paying attention your entire life, you've had the blueprint.
Yeah.
So now I'm out there and it says, okay, the world is looking at me. It's time for me to perform. And from that point on, I start performing. My father, now here's the kicker part that people don't know. And the reason why I still got that same dump truck right now to this day. But my dad, he said, listen, you just came home. I got you. Don't worry about it. So I said, okay. And where we had a breaking point is I had worked 60 hours for my father. I came in and he was making payroll. So he looked at me and he said, here you go, son. And he gave me $200. So I said, what's this? He said, it's your pay. I said, that ain't my pay. And he said, yeah. Boy, I done bought you a truck. I ain't gave you a place to stay. Yep. I'm feeding you. You don't have any bills. Tell me what you need all that money for. And I said,
You had a point too now.
Here we go. Now, like you said, Aaron, it looked good when it came home. But when you get 60 hours, you give a man $200.
Yes, sir.
I don't care what you paying for me.
Absolutely.
That ain't gonna work.
Yeah, how much is my rent? I'm trying to figure out how much my rent is at your house.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, hold on 1 second. Since you said that, it made me think of something.
Talk.
You came home and your situation was blessed.
Blessed.
Scoot, you came home and your situation was blessed.
Yes.
Aaron, you came home and your situation was blessed.
Absolutely.
So, Aaron, what do we say to the person who came home and their situation was hell?
Man, when somebody comes home and their situation is hell, you got to make sure that you hold on to the things that you held on to while you were gone, provided those things were, real principles. Like he said, on the way out of the prison, you will see exactly what he just explained. You're going to see people throwing away the system of thought and the faith foundation that they had that kept them through the toughest days. But you got to go back and dig into what kept you the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So, like, even dig back deeper than that, because most people that come home in a situation as hell can look back on maybe their childhood and they had good people. There's always going to be bad circumstances or negative circumstances that influence people's lives. Even if somebody had a really tough upbringing when they were a child, there was somebody who spoke into their life that spoke life to them, right? They spoke life into life so that life could just spring up. You got to tap back into those things, because if you walk out and you say, okay, it's just me, I'm fresh, I'm brand new, I don't have anything good going for me, I can't see good anywhere around me, that's just a choice that you're making at that point. You have to dig back into what you know. And we used to have a little rule when I was incarcerated, because there was always a lot going on, and in every prison there always is. And we'll look to each other and say, don't forget rule number one. And rule number one for us was don't panic.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Don't panic, no matter what's going on. The guards are coming in, tearing up everybody's, cubicle, or tearing up everybody's, prison cell, going through everything you got, throwing all your paperwork, your letters, all the pictures from your kids and stuff, just throwing it everywhere. And they're coming in looking for contraband. Rule number one was don't panic. So when you come home and you feel like everyone that you love is on the floor, right? And everything that you hold near and dear to you, somebody has taken in their hands and just thrown in the air, shuffled through. You feel like you don't have any way to turn, nowhere to go, and you just have to watch it happen like you do in prison, because they'll tell you, offender, come out of your cell and stand on the wall. Right? Okay. So you come out, and while you come home and you're just standing on the wall, and your whole life and everything you value is being thrown around, man, rule number one, don't panic. Right? Because if you just go through it and you do it with patience and you do it with peace, one thing I learned in there is that this time is going to pass.
Yeah.
Right? And you do have to go back and pick up everything that you hold near and dear to your heart and put it back together and reorganize it. We do things sometimes with no thought attached to it. You know, so the person that comes home and the situation is really tough for them, you have to go back and attach thought to the circumstance. And if you marry thought and circumstance, you'll see your way through it, man. You know, it's going to be tough. Sometimes you can't escape a tough situation, but as long as you're willing to rise above it and not go below or go beneath or anything like that, then you can be just fine. There's resources out here that people can tap into that a lot of times pride will pull you away from, right? You don't want to live in a homeless shelter. Okay, but you don't have to sleep on the streets. At least you have a roof over your head. You don't want to go eat out of a soup kitchen or, you know, eat handouts that people are giving away downtown or wherever you may be, but you know what, it's going to bring substance to your body so that you can continue to go on and do something different. You have to take the resources that are available in a humble way. Being humble is extremely important.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, we're taught when we're young to have a sense of pride, but, you know, pride can be used as a positive thing and also a negative thing. They say, oh, this person is prideful, as a negative thing. But you're taught when you're young, hey, have pride in you, take pride in yourself, right? So there's a delicate balance right there. I'm not too proud and when I'm in a tough situation to take advantage of the resources and the help that's available. And I'm not so proud of myself that I feel like I don't need things from time to time. I just look around and I look up and I'm not afraid to put my hand out. But it's also really important when you come home in a tough situation to know when to draw your hand back and not have your hand out.
Yeah.
Right? People are willing to give you things, but if all you do is stand there with your hands out and all you want to do is receive and you're standing instead of moving, there's no action attached to what you're seeking, then, man, people look at you like you're lazy. They don't want to help you because you don't want to help yourself, so you got to get busy.
Yeah.
You got to get busy.
Okay.
I'm with that.
Scoop.
Yeah.
How do we not panic? You said don't panic. Someone's just getting home. They don't have that situation that y'all talk about.
Right.
Aaron said rule number one, don't panic.
Right.
How do I not panic?
Hey, Aaron, I like that. I like that. Don't panic. And, but what you have to do, man, you know, my thing that I do is I check myself. And then I go into what I start thinking it's chess, not checkers. You know what I'm saying? So then I got to figure out what do I need to do, and I start playing things in my head carefully, you know, to figure out what to do and what not to do. So when I got home, I knew I had to work. I knew I had to, you know, get myself together. I had to be right with myself in that situation.
Okay. So, Chris, I'm not panicking, right?
Right.
First step. How do I what's that motivation for the first step to get out there and get that motion that Aaron was talking about to at least get off of that wall and move?
Ken, there's no correct answer for that. I was sitting here listening to Aaron and I'm listening to Eric. And to be totally honest, brother, what you will realize when you're incarcerated, no matter how many letters you get, no matter how many good cellmates you have, you only have you.
Yeah.
So why would you panic if you only gonna take care of you? You have to decide, this is gonna stop right here and I'm gonna change. There's no need of panicking. We can holler, scream, cry. Situation's never gonna go anywhere. You have to make it up in your mind, all right, what is my next move? And you say, well, I may not have had guidance or whatever. You didn't have guidance in there. When you realize that the entire change of any situation starts with you, there is no panic. We all went through the same rules. Aaron say, do not panic. We've all went through where they gonna come through and check all your stuff for contraband, and your private letters have been thrown on the floor amongst 8 other inmates in your dorm, and it's all over the floor, and you sorting through things, and somebody else is picking up your letters, and you got a couple of brothers in there gonna pick up a picture of your girl and try to hide that picture.
Yeah, they will.
Because, you know, they don't have that picture. You know what I'm saying? So that becomes minute to what life has out here for you.
Yeah.
So the no panic, Ken, is when you sitting back and you look at it and you said, okay, well, I'm the one hungry. What's wrong with going to get something to eat? I don't care where it's at.
Yeah.
What's wrong with getting something to eat? Then you think about it. I don't have on any clothes. Okay. So if you have to go to a shelter or Goodwill, get some clothes. When you lose the pride that Aaron was talking about, and you start going into what a partner of mine, Cal, would say survival mode.
Yeah.
Then what you do is you do anything it is to take care of you.
To survive.
Once you take care of you, then you have the capacity to take care of others.
Yeah, that's right.
But
The
you
will
got
to
to fix
survive.
you first.
It's that will to survive, bro.
Okay, Aaron, he said going into survival mode, very important. How do you go successfully into survival mode without going into the same mode that got you there in the first place?
Well, first of all, you remember that you don't want to be there, right? You don't want to do the same things that took you away from, your family, from all the people that you love, from the opportunity to make decisions on your own. So when I came home, people used to compliment my clothes, and I would tell them, well, all this came from Goodwill, or it came from a secondhand store, because that's what I could afford at the time. I told you I did have a bunch of gifts that were laid out for me, but this was, just the base things, a few pairs of jeans, some underwear, T-shirts, some shoes, and I was extremely thankful for it because it was a massive blessing in my life. But when I added to, my collection of clothing, I was going to Goodwill. No pride, no shame, none of that. It was just a part of what I had to do because, like he said about dealing with his father, everything that he needed in order to be successful was right there for him, for me as well. And so I had a choice to make, right? I can go outside of what I have and do things the wrong way. And I felt that pressure just like, because you felt that pressure as well. Or I could just do it the right way and humble myself and go get there. You don't have to do what other people do out there. You just have to do enough for yourself. That positive self-identification and saying that, hey, I'm the one raising your hand when you look in the mirror and you think about yourself, that's really what's key.
Yeah.
You have to activate it on the inside. And I practice something. So I believe that if you command the morning, then the day will lay at your feet. That's a core belief of mine. And so when I wake up in the morning, I'm not a lazy person, but I don't get out of bed for about 30 minutes. I don't care what's going on. I could have to use the restroom so bad, I will not move for a minimum of 30 minutes. It has nothing to do with laziness. I have to center myself and collect my thoughts. Because when I sleep, I don't know about anybody else, but when I sleep, all types of things run through my mind. And then when I wake up, thoughts come to me that I'm not putting any effort into creating. And when those thoughts come in, sometimes they're positive, sometimes they're negative. I like to work out the negativity before I go start my day. When my feet touch the ground, I want to be balanced and centered.
Yes.
Right? And so that's what I do. And then I may spend some time, I spend about 30 minutes in bed, and I may get up, and the first thing I do is go stand in the mirror and just look at myself in the eyes, talk to myself, encourage myself in different ways. Sometimes I speak positive affirmations in the morning to myself. Hey, man, don't forget that you're happy, you're healthy, you're wealthy, you're well. You're happy, you're healthy, you're wealthy, you're well. Speak those things out of my environment. And sometimes I talk to myself the way that I would talk to myself if I was younger.
Yeah.
And, a lot of that language I'll just, keep back for me right now. But I speak to myself in some very harsh ways because encouragement comes in different tones.
Yeah.
Right? So not only am I happy, healthy, wealthy, and well, sometimes I talk to myself like I'm a Little League football coach talking to the star player on the team because he hasn't been performing.
Yeah.
Right? And I have to just dig deep and get inside of myself. And then sometimes I talk to myself like if my father was talking to me when I was running raggedy through the streets doing whatever it is that I wanted to do. And I talk to myself harshly, and I make very valid points. And I look at myself in the mirror, then I remind myself where I came from and where I don't want to go and what it's going to take to not get there. And also follow that up with what it does take to get to the place that I actually want to be in.
Yeah.
Right? Because the beat down conversation for me is a beat down conversation. The do's and the don'ts, they all have a part, but I focus on the doing more than the don'ting.
Yeah.
right? I went and spoke in Houston with a good friend of mine, and part of my discussion was about a young lady that had lost her life because she had committed suicide, and the conversation was geared towards getting people focused on the fact that although she had physically committed suicide on that one fateful day, she had died years and years and years and years before that. Right? And everywhere she went, when she looked at people because of a shameful thing that happened to her outside of her own control, she felt like she was reliving that circumstance until she took herself to her own untimely death. And so, I was saying that at this point, it would seem appropriate that we could eulogize a young life like that. But instead of allowing me to speak a eulogy in that moment, God said, don't speak a eulogy. He said, speak a doulogy, right? Because a doulogy is about what you have yet to do. All the people in the room, there's no one in this room that has the power to bring a young woman back from her suicide circumstance. But if you speak life into it and you speak a doulogy rather than a eulogy, then you could ignite somebody. And so I'm a firm believer in igniting yourself. Right? So I believe that if you catch fire in the morning, man, your flame should burn all day long. Right? And so the morning matters the most. If you command the morning, then the day will lay at your feet. And so that's a practice that I adhere to constantly. I won't waver from it.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. I like it, bro.
And going back to your original statement about the mental health, that when you got home, the person that you moved in with was having her own mental health issues. At the same time, I suspect maybe you were having some of your own. So what do y'all have to say about somebody that's getting out? Okay, so they know not to panic, right? And they know to move, but just mentally, they're not ready. It's not there. They can't put 2 and 2 together to get to 4. 2 and 2 for them is 5.
Okay, I would say now it depends on how deep you is. You won't need to seek some mental help, but someone with a sane mind, have patience. You got to have patience with the system. I got a friend of mine now, man. I've been talking to. He was locked up. Hey, man, this guy been locked up 30 years, bro. 30 years. I talked to him yesterday. Over 30 years. He on a life. He on a lifetime. He got life. So in Texas, you can have a life sentence, and you probably go in 10 to 12 times. This guy done had a life sentence since he was a teenager. Okay, and he got out this last bit he did 30 flat fed. 30 flat. I talked to this guy, very intelligent guy, and I try to get him to go to the club. I try to get him to hang out. I try to get him to do this and do that. He said, Scoop, he said, only thing I'm focused on right now is getting me a house. He said, man, I'm 70, I think he's 72 years old. No wife and kids. And he's staying focused on his money. He been on the job 2 years. He drive trucks. He been on the job 2 years. And all he do is 34. He come home and do his 34 hours off, and he get back in that truck. He stays persistent and consistent on getting his goals done. It's going to take patience. See, we want everything to happen right then. It takes patience. Everybody want to be a millionaire. Everybody want to do this. It takes patience. Just like that kid that wanted to be the star player on the football team or the basketball team. It took patience. To get to the pros, it took patience. So what I'm going to say to you is, take your time, stay consistent, and be persistent, and stay focused.
Chris, how do you prepare yourself for the mental challenges of getting back into society?
Well, I don't really prepare myself. I am the type of person that no matter how chaotic a situation will be, I can almost normalize chaotic situations. So everything could be going crazy. And in the middle of all of chaos, I'm just me. I can call the shots. I can see where we're in error. And I can put myself and people in positions to calm the situation down. Unlike Aaron, when I wake up, it's almost like the military. When I wake up, and anybody that's ever been around me when I wake up, they know I jump straight up. I don't care. I want to sleep. I jump up. I get ready and I stretch because I'm getting older now, so my back ain't what it used to be. You know what I'm saying? So I get my stretch on. I go straight. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to brush my teeth, and I'm ready. It's almost like I'm ready. The reason being is because, Ken, I know that some people cannot understand this, but I swear I've said that if you want to know you, be incarcerated.
Yeah.
It's so many people, man, that look at the events of what happened to our lives and they look down on it. The craziest part about it is me and Aaron, I know, and Eric, bro, we had it. We had all the opportunities prior to going to prison.
Yeah.
We had it. My father didn't just open a construction company. My mom and dad wasn't just married 50 years, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We had it. All of us made choices to do something else. And then when we came home, because we could look at everything, we had to settle down. We had to sit down.
Yeah.
When we could see, man, we messed up. And we took ownership of what we have done. When we came home, we wanted to correct what we knew we had destroyed.
Yeah. Can I touch on something real quick?
Absolutely.
So, when I came, so I was gone for 11 years, right? So very considerable amount of time. And when I came home and I saw the state, right, the condition, just made an assessment of where people were that were in my life before I was incarcerated, I said, man, what I had was the benefit of exactly what you're saying. I had time for self-reflection.
Yeah.
I had time to pull away from the busyness and the expectation and the information overload that the world has to offer and just look at myself and build me. I spent a lot of time building a human. It was like raising a child, right? So I was absent from my kid's life, but I still had the opportunity to raise a child. It just so happened to be me.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people out here, most of the folks that I'm connected to, family, friends, associates, they have not had the opportunity to just build themselves. And you can look at people that are out here that have been caught up in this rat race of what we call life and in some ways have pity on them because they have not had the mental break.
Exactly.
They've not had the break of expectation and the break of just activity and all of that stuff to just work on them. I ran across something years ago that taught me that counselors determine the destiny of kings. There's not enough people out here that have sound counsel so that they can live a good life.
Exactly.
Right? There's people out here that are willing to counsel. I'm sure you're willing to counsel. Eric, I'm sure you're willing to counsel. Ken, I'm sure you're willing to counsel. And we probably do this all day long. We don't walk around with the badge on our shirt that says, I'm a counselor.
Right.
But we counsel. And we receive counsel, too, I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we do that. And it's really important for whoever's being counseled to also be willing to receive and apply.
Exactly.
Right? So I appreciate what you were saying, and I don't mean to cut you off. I just had to jump in there.
Cut me off if you got something. when you're on fire, come on with it.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
yes, sir.
Look, I want to add something to that.
What you want to
I want to add something to that.
Talk to me.
Okay, in this book, this poem, you might be familiar with it. It says, change your enemy, and your enemy will change. Change.
Got it. I picked that up.
I'm going to say it again.
Yep.
Change your enemy, and your enemy will change. Change. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, in prison, when I read that poem, I had to understand who the enemy was. Do you understand who the enemy is?
You.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had to change. So once I changed, I killed the enemy.
Oh man, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Hold on, it's funny you says that.
Nah, Ken, don't stop us right now. Don't you do it. Because what he say, man, what he said, that boy just looked me in my eyes when he said that, man. He had a moment. Yeah, he had a, so you talking to me right now. Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something.
Come on.
You know, this is something that I've said, and y'all got to listen to me, okay? Some people say I'm blunt. Some people say I say things, direct to them, right?
A lot of people say it, though.
A lot of people say it.
A lot of people.
That's a moving life.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it, though.
But let me tell you why, okay? I've always looked at life as when people hold something over your head, okay? I always call that the weapons or the bullets in the gun, right? After you accept whatever anybody has over your head or whatever you're dealing with inside, okay? Because most of us are our own worst enemy. Exactly what Scoot said, right? Take the bullets out the gun. Once you face it, the gun is harmless. Once you face what you have done, there's no more ammo in the gun. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So exactly what you're saying. When you change you, then you become harmless to you.
Right.
And that's the most powerful thing in the world, is that you don't want to hurt you.
Right.
Okay? Self-preservation. You need to start that first. If that young lady you're referring to, if she would have had that, if she could have took the bullets out of her gun, mm-hmm. she wouldn't have never harmed herself. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. If she, whatever it was, if she could have physically, mentally, and emotionally faced whatever demon or whatever the case may have been that drew her to that dark place, mm-hmm. she'll still be alive today. Yeah. But the quality of life would be far greater because there's no ammunition against her. Yeah. Right. She wouldn't have that ammunition against herself.
Against herself.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So once you take the bullets out of the gun for yourself, everything else tend to follow.
In place.
It'll follow. Everything that you strive to do, there will be no ammunition in the gun for you to stop, because you will realize I am the most powerful thing in my life. Mm-hmm. I am the most powerful thing in my life. Yeah. I control my life, my destiny, my everything. And the reason you say, oh, no, we got the religious people gonna throw up and all. God, listen, God made us in the image of Him. Yeah. And He also He implanted things inside of us that we have the ability to change any situation we're placed in. He gives us that authority. We just only have to do it through Him.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's us who make the change. Yeah. We all know some of the most religious, independent, Christians in the world, and they sitting on the couch.
Yeah, absolutely.
They know everything about the Bible, mm-hmm. forward, backwards, and they sitting on the couch. When God is looking at them and He's more disappointed in them than He is anyone else, because of the like, oh my God, you know my word. I've given it to you. And I've built you to do anything you wanted to do, and you sitting on the couch. So when you start dealing with that, Ken, is that you most of everything that we're gonna have to, I guess, encourage people to do is fix themselves. So whether you come home to a halfway house, whether you come home to a loving family, whether you come home to the streets, if you apply all the energy that you have into repairing you, then everything behind that will fall in line.
Okay, I'm going to jump back onto what Scoot said and then on what Aaron said, because coming from my perspective, me and Scoot actually had to talk about this before. Mm-hmm. I say sometimes the people that have gone to jail are more blessed than the people that didn't get a chance to go. Because the people that didn't get a chance to go get to repeat mistakes that are just as detrimental in their lives over and over and over again, and they never get judged. They never have to sit in the room and figure out that their worst enemy, like you said, is themselves. They are their worst enemy. So I was playing basketball just yesterday, and the guy that I've been playing basketball with for the longest time, Scoot, I go up in the air, he comes up under me.
Uh-oh.
So when he came up under me, I immediately, no, we're not going to play that type of basketball.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh, Ken, he didn't try. No, he tried to do it. I know he tried to do it. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, everybody was saying, okay, Ken, like, you don't ever really get that mad. I go, oh, because that guy that you know, I had to kill him. Mm-hmm. Because that guy was my worst enemy. A lot of stuff I wasn't getting accomplished because I wasn't being the best version of myself. And once I realized that I was my problem, it wasn't somebody else was my problem. It was me and what I was doing. But when you don't get judged and nobody's sitting in front of you and putting you in a room saying that you have to figure out what you did wrong and how to fix it, you get to repeat that same, as we say, Groundhog Day. The movie Groundhog Day, where it's the same day over and over, and people get to repeat the same mistakes. And like you were saying, Chris, a lot of Christians who aren't being judged will repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again and never get to fix themselves. And they look at someone else and go, okay, well, you made this mistake, and because we caught you making this mistake, we're going to hold it against you. But I get to live in hell for 20, 30 years being the same bad version of myself because no one has ever stopped to the side and say, that's wrong.
Yeah.
And you need to fix that part about you. So that poem really hit me because I really had to tell those guys, no, I killed that guy.
Yeah.
Just last week, I really took that guy and said, okay, I can't do it. You can't live with me anymore because you don't give us our best chance at success. Mm-hmm. You are your own enemy. I am my own Satan. Because I got free will. I get to pick my life. So if something bad happens to me and Chris talk about it all the time. If I go outside and it's 10 degrees and my car is low on air, mm-hmm. The devil didn't make my tire low on air. I didn't keep up with my tires. Like Chris said, you got to keep up with your car. So when something happens to somebody's car, they go, oh, the devil made me stop on the side of the road. And then when you talk to Chris say, no, you're not getting an oil change every 3,000 miles. It wasn't you are the devil in that situation because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. So what you said, Scoot, really resonated with me. What you were saying, Aaron, resonates with me as well. So Aaron, what would you say the importance of someone when they are released? So just period. Let's not even say people that are being released right now. Mm-hmm. What would you say the importance of someone getting that mentorship and that higher person that they can talk to kind of help them when they aren't feeling their best?
So I think one of the most important things in focusing on mentorship or affirmation is to understand that you may not have one single particular person that's going to walk hand in hand with you, right? You may not be able to find that person. And when you're on a quest to find, one particular person, what you'll do is you'll find that there's flaws in people. So when you find someone that you feel like you can trust in or that you want to walk side by side with, the first time they let you down, you can't walk away from that. And if you're the type of person that places that type of value on one person in particular, and either they do everything that you want them to do, or they let you down and you turn away from it, if you're that kind of person, then don't pick one. You should just live your life freely. And when people have lessons for you to learn or examples for you to learn from, you should just cherry pick each example, each lesson, and let the world be your university and every person in it a professor.
There you go.
You talked about, people judging, and I've been chewing over judging and judgment for a little while now. And the thing that I have to speak on when it comes to that is that as a person who needs help from someone, you have to work inside of a system like we spoke about earlier. And in a system, when judgment comes, This to me is a really good thing. When judgment comes from a system or a collected body of like thinkers, then that judgment is placed on a particular person for whatever the reason is, right? But the judgment is finality, and the person may not change. The person that's being judged may not change, but the collected body and the collected assumption of people who are placing a judgment on that one person brings finality. There's a cutoff point. So sometimes we get judging and assessing, or judging and considering mixed up, or judging and understanding mixed up. If someone does something and you speak on it, well, the person who did something to violate trust and belief in the collective body of people says, oh, I'm being judged by these people. No, they're making an assessment of your actions. They're saying you did this, and so now this is how we see you, right? And that can be worked on. But when you have people who pass a judgment, we say, hey, this is who the person is, right? And then whatever that person does, we already know. A lot of times we get let down because we believe that a person has the capacity to operate in righteousness, or we believe that a person has the capacity to do things better than they are, and they actually don't. So that's how we get let down when it comes to situations like that. And so when you're thinking about finding a mentor, you have to make sure that you don't sit in the seat of judgment when this person doesn't do every single thing that you want them to do. And when you release a person from that responsibility and that role, then you say, you know what, there's more people out here that I can learn lessons from. And if you're willing to pick them up and you put them in your pocket, or you're willing to pick them up and put them in your bag, then you're going to move through life in a lot easier fashion. When I started selling cars, a guy told me this. He said, man, I came to this dealership and these people are paying me $10,000 a month guaranteed to sit behind this desk as a sales manager. It's a guarantee. I got a 6-month, $10,000 guarantee. He said in 6 months, I'll make $60,000. They can't take that away from me because they wrote me a contract. I said, that sounds nice. I had just gotten home. $10,000 sounded like a lot of money to me at that time.
It sounds good right now.
So 10 grand a month was, that was a big number for me. And he said, this is what I've done over my time. He said, everything I learned, he said, I'm just like a doctor with an invisible bag. He said, think back on the traveling doctors when you used to have to stagecoach and all that stuff. Every time they showed up, they had a little bag that they bring out in the old Westerns. He said, I'm like a doctor in an old Western with an invisible bag, and everything I learned from every place I go, I just stuff it in there and I pull it out. That didn't fall on deaf ears when he shared that with me.
Yeah.
I'm not depending on any one particular person to hold my hand and to be my mentor, because my mentors are all around. They come in people that do bad. They come in people that do good.
Yes.
They come in the form of children. They come in the form of adults. It doesn't matter, man, woman, child, right, wrong. There's a lesson to be learned in everything. And if we open ourselves up to receive it, then we're gonna benefit from it.
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
Scoot, do you have a mentor that you talk to now? You have somebody you listen to, somebody you get information from?
I do. Hey, Aaron, say, man, look, I just met you, and everything you saying, bro, is like, that's me. So I totally agree with you 100%, and I'm a piggy-tail on that, and I'm a put it in a more layman's term. You're absolutely right. The world and people in the world, like we talked a while back, Ken, about I study people. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So as a child, bro, I got this as a child. I really didn't want to go play with the kids my age. Or if I was playing with the kids my age, I'm watching the kids older than me. I'm watching the way they dress. Like Scarface said, you know what I'm saying? You watch the people in the neighborhood, the way they dress, the way they wear their clothes, you know the verse, and the way they wear their hats to the side. Get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, but then that came to pass because those guys was gangsters, drug dealers, stealing cars. So then I wanted to change. I see these guys in and out of prison. I'm like, this is not where I want to be. So then I started watching the older men that had done retired, that had their family and their kids come home for the holidays. That's what I want. Then I started watching the Cosby Show. See, a lot of people talk down on Cosby, on the Cosby Show, but watch what Cosby was putting out there. He was programming your mind to be a better father. He was, if you watch the Cosby Show, he sat down with each and every one of his kids in each and every situation. He was always present, and
Yes.
you got to see. And then all his kids wasn't the greatest kids.
No.
You get what I'm saying? All your kids are not going to be the greatest kids. Okay, but not to get too far off, let me say this. Man, Jay Prince said this. He said, if a lot of people get them a OG and get off IG, the thing what kids are doing now, and the thing that people are doing now, they get on Instagram, Facebook, all these social medias, and look at this image that people play, and then they play off of that. If you look in your community and go to these elderly people that got to this happy place in their life, you get around them. I always say, if you want to be a millionaire, what you need to do?
Be around other millionaires.
You got to be around other millionaires and talk to a millionaire. If you want to be a truck driver, what you need to do? You go talk to a truck driver. So what I'm going to say to a person out there, if it's something, a career, a job that you're trying to be or get to, go hang around those people. Because the saying, see, look at your friends and see where they're at. And that's where you're going to be in the next 5 years. So if I hang around a lot of guys that rob, steal, and kill, what I'm going to do? I'm going to rob, steal, and kill. So what I want to do, I want to implant myself into a group of people that has positive energy and that's going places. If you at home all day playing video games and ain't got nothing to do with your life and ain't got nothing to lose, nothing greater to lose than I do, I don't want to be around you. If you have a bad attitude, you don't have a positive attitude, I don't want to be around you. And that's the way I view it, Ken.
Okay, Chris, do you have a mentor that you talk to, somebody you get information from?
Everybody. I mean, it's crazy. It's Ken, I was taking a load to Lexington, Texas a couple of days ago. And a guy walked up and he was basically, he didn't like blacks, let's say that, okay? And I was bouncing off ideas with him, and it was kind of funny because he had a pretty strong opinion about a lot of things, okay?
Yeah.
But what I learned about him and learned from him, right? No matter if we agree with the people that the information is coming from, we have to not judge, not basically what you would have to do is be exactly like you said, Aaron. You just be a sponge. Don't judge where the information is coming from. Don't even have an opinion about where the information is coming from. Just absorb the information. A lot of us go to church and our preacher will preach a word, but as soon as we find out something is wrong with that preacher, whatever it may be, we want to turn. Listen, that message that same person has given for years on that pulpit has changed people's lives. It wasn't the man. It's the message.
The message.
Yeah.
That's right.
So when you're talking to anybody, and that's what I'm going to encourage us all to do, don't pass judgment. If it's an old lady walking up, feet swollen, she on a cane, and she look at you and she say, "Baby, I got something to tell you." Then listen. I don't care what she looked like, where you think, just listen. And whatever you receive from that person, utilize it. Put it to action. And it could be something small. That woman could tell you something like, I don't know, she read the paper every Sunday. You may not want to read the paper every Sunday, but if you start, there might be something in there.
The message.
That's a message to you and God or anybody, whatever you want to say. Put that person in your life to just give you the message. And then you take it and do what you do.
Yeah, I agree.
My standpoint, coming from, my upbringing, Chris, I had to get a lot of mentorship from a lot of different places.
Right.
So like Aaron said, I had to learn to listen to a lot of different people because there was no dominant male figure for me to just latch on to and say, okay, all of my information is going to come from here.
Right.
And to your point, Aaron, when you say about the tools, that's one of the most important lessons I learned from one of my mentors, which happened to be Chris's dad, is you have to have a tool for everything.
Yeah.
Inside of his garage, there was welders. There was every tool that he may never use, but at the one moment he had to use it, then he had that tool. Now, he wouldn't let me and Chris touch it. No, we weren't going to put it back. And we got ready to use it. It wasn't going to be there. Then there was a problem.
Right on.
But he taught me that every situation, like I said, you can use a hammer for some stuff.
Yeah.
But if you have a brick, you can use a brick to put that nail in. But if you have a hammer, it makes that job a lot easier.
Yes, sir.
Where I was growing up from, we learned to improvise. And my grandfather taught me to improvise. So it was if you didn't have it, you could do this, you could do that. When I got to Chris's house, it was not improvise. It was get the appropriate tool to do the job correctly. So I had to learn that from Chris. I had to learn different things from different people everywhere, which led to my adulthood because now, like I said, I study all religions. I don't study one thing. I study everything to try to get the truth out of everything.
Right.
So I'm not just... It's hard for you to let me down because I'm not going to put all my trust in you anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
I expect for you to be wrong. I expect for everybody to be who they are.
Right.
So you don't get to disappoint me because I'm just going to latch on to every piece of information I can get. So I think that is important. We're about to run out of time here. So in closing, I will give everyone just a good, quick, let's say 1 minute to get your closing remark on what you want to leave somebody with today. They
Okay.
can be tuning in. Who wants to go first?
Oh, hell, I go first.
You go first?
Who are you?
All right.
I don't know you, dog.
Yeah, I'm me.
Who is me?
Me, Scoop. Yeah. Nah, this is Elric Truvillion, man.
There you go, Elric Truvillion. What you gonna say?
I'm going to leave you with this here. Life is good. I'm happy. Nothing more I need to say.
All right, Chris.
You want me to go second?
Yeah.
That's what you want me?
We just going in a row.
This how we do it?
He said, I'm a close out, man. Don't do me. I'm the grand finale.
You finna close this one off, my brother. I'm gonna make sure of that. I was gonna go before you, period. All right. Only thing I have to say to anybody that's listening is try your best to not pass judgment on anything. Take more time out to look at you. Try to repair you the best you can be, because you are not at your full potential. You are not, okay? And there's so much more inside of you that you have not tapped into. And it's readily available. It's literally sitting there wanting you to explore you, which is the most beautiful thing you could ever encounter, is when you start realizing how great you are.
All right. Aaron, you're up.
When I came home from incarceration, people often ask me what I feel like I missed out on the most. And my standard answer to that question was opportunity. There are opportunities that are available to us out here while we're experiencing freedom that are not available to you when you're incarcerated. Some people are incarcerated that will never see bars, that will never see concrete and iron. They'll never understand the pressure of being confined in one geographical location, but the pressure can be even greater because you're confined to the constraints of your own mind. My encouragement to anyone and everyone listening right now was to tap into the ability that Chris just spoke to you about. Tap into that place on the inside that says, I can, I will, I shall. There's a conqueror inside of everyone, but there's also a quitter inside of everyone. If you allow the conqueror to overcome the quitter, then your life is going to be blessed forevermore. Choose who's going to win the battle, because either way, they're on the inside, and the choice is yours.
Great. Okay, I want to thank our co-hosts Chris Shankle, Elric Truvillion, and Aaron Charles for joining us today and sharing their insight on the reinvention for returning citizens. Please join us next time on Rebuilding Futures, the podcast, as we continue to explore the challenges and opportunities that face our population. Have a great day.
Where can we be reached at, Ken?
We can be reached at www.returningfutures. Rebuilding. Let's start over. Say it again.
Where can we be reached at, Ken?
We can be reached at www.rebuildingfuturespodcast.com. You can also follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, anywhere where you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Okay, cool.
Right on.